Hi, it's Jordantine1, and today I'll be showing you how to make the 6-pin Starburst bracelet. The original Starburst design was created by Ashley Steph last year, and it was a hugely popular design, and it still is. So I have adapted it so you can make it using just 6 pins on the loom. So I will show you what it looks like. Everybody probably is already familiar with what the design looks like. Now, if you want to make it on the full-size loom, you're going to have your pins set up so they are in line with one another. And you're going to be using 6 pins in the shape of a rectangle. Now, I'm going to be doing it on the monster tail, and I'm actually going to turn my loom sideways so that the red dot is facing to the left, and I'm going to be using these 6 pins right here. For my colors, I have black for the outside, and then I have all the different rainbow colors in the Rainbow Loom jelly bands for the Starburst themselves, and then I have white for the cap bands or the centers. So as far as how many bands you will need, I would say it's somewhere around 60 for the outside bands, and then each Starburst is 6 bands plus the 1 additional band for the cap band, and you probably will need about 14 Starbursts to get the bracelet to fit all the way around your wrist. My first band placement is going to go from the center pin in the bottom row and stretch diagonally up and to the left. I'm going to be using black since I want this to be my outside color. And then I'm going to take another black band, and it's going to go from the center pin diagonally up and to the right. So it's going to look like it made a V. Now I'm going to take my first color for my Starburst, which is pink, and that's going to go from the center straight forward. And next I'm going to place a cap band. It's going to be on this pin in the center on the top row. And I want this band to be doubled, and I'm going to use white for my cap bands. So it's just going to go on this pin. I'm going to leave it in my fingers, twist, and then put it back on. That's how I'm going to double the band. If you want, you can do it on your hook. And now what I want to happen is I want this pink band to come up through the white bands and come back on itself. Now I've decided for this video, when I'm working on this far side, I'm just going to tilt the loom up so you can see what I'm doing, as opposed to turning it around every time, because I'm constantly going to be working between the front row and the back row, and I just think that it will be easier if I just show it that way instead of having to keep turning the loom around every time. And so I'm going to reach down through these white bands, grab the pink, hold this cap band in place, and just pull it back here to the bottom. And now I want to place another cap band, and it's going to go on this pin that's closest to me in the center, and it's going to be black or whatever color your outside bands are. So again, I'm just placing it on, twisting, and putting it right back on. And now I want the bottom black bands to come up through these top 4 bands, and I'm just going to take them off in order. So the one that I'm going to grab first is the one that goes out to the right. I'm going to pull that up through, and it's going to move to this pin over here on the right. So I'll just push back on these top 4 bands, grab this black, it's going to come up through, and it's going to move over here. And now I'm going to go down through and grab the bottom black band, and that's going to do the opposite. It's going to come over here to the left. Just go right on that bottom there. Now what I want to do is add my next pink bands for the Starburst, but what I'm going to do first is take this white cap band, and I'm just going to remove it from this pin. It's not going to fall apart or anything. I'm just going to let it go, and it's going to hang in the middle for the moment. Now I'm taking a pink band, I'm going to move it from the center out to the right, and then another one's going to go from the center out to the left. And now I am going to pick up this cap band, make sure I get both of these bands, and put it back on the pin. And now what I'm going to do is get these bottom pink bands to once again come up through the cap band, and they're just going to go back on themselves. So the first one is going to move out to the left. I'm going to go back down through, and the next one's going to come up and move to the right. Push that down. And now I want to add my outside bands, so it's going to be black on both of these ends. They're just going from the front pin straight back. This is going to be the border of the bracelet. And now I want to remove the bottom black bands from the pins in the front here. Just one from each of these. And actually these bands in the center can come off. They're just going to come all the way off of that pin and hang in the middle. That's the bottom of the bracelet. And now on the flip side here, I want the two pink bands in the center and then the bottom black band to also come over the top and into the middle. So I'm going to grab the pink bands first. You can grab all three of these bottom bands at once, but it's pretty full on your hook and you run the risk of having this upper band pop off. So what I'm going to do is just grab the pink bands first, pull them over, just make sure this upper band stays on, and then I'll take the bottom one off, and then I'll do the same thing over here. Just going to grab these two middle bands and then the bottom, push this down, and now I want to add the next two pink bands for the Starburst. So what I could do is I could take this cap band off and leave it hang and then just place these bands in the middle and then put it back on. But instead of doing that every time, I'm just going to use this other row. So I will put the two pink bands on the bottom row here. It's going from the center out to the right and then back to the left. And now I can take this cap band and I'm just going to switch sides with it. And now I can bring these bottom pink bands up through. Just do that for each side here. And then once I've done that, I need to add the border bands again. So again, it's going to be black. And now I need the bottom three bands to come off of these front pins. So again, I'm just grabbing the pink ones first, and then the black. Doing the same thing here. And then on the other side, just the bottom black. And push this down. I have one more band to add for this Starburst, so it's going to still be pink and it's going to go in the center. And now I want this white cap band to come off and just go into the middle. And then that is it for the first Starburst. So I'm ready to change colors. I'll start with orange here for my next Starburst. It's just going right in the middle. And now I want the bottom pink bands just in the center here to come off. It's just going to link these Starbursts together. And so now I need to add the cap band. That's going to be the middle of my next Starburst. But what I need to do is make an empty spot. So I'm just going to take this band here that's on the top and move it down. And now I can add my orange bands over here. Just going from the center out to the right and then from the center to the left. And now what I want to do is just take the top part that I had just removed from the center pin and move it back. And then I want to place a cap band on this top center pin. So I'm just placing it on, twisting, and putting it back on. And then finally I want this orange band that's on the front pin to move to the back. So it's pretty full. There's a lot of bands on this pin. So what I want to happen is I want these bottom orange bands to come up through all of the bands that are above and go back on themselves. So I'm just reaching my hook down through. It might be a little bit hard to get them separated, but you want to get all of these upper bands to go behind your hook. You want to grab that next one in line here. It's going to come up through and go back on itself. And then again, I'm going back down through, pushing back, getting this very bottom band, and it's going to move over here to the right. And now I need to add the black bands on the sides. And in the front here, I'm just getting this bottom black band to come off. And then on the back side, it's the bottom 3. Going to push this down. Now I'm going to add 2 more orange bands to the front pins here. And now this cap band and also these orange bands, everything that's on this pin is going to come off and move to the center pin in the front. And now once again, I want these bottom orange bands to come up through. And now these can come off. And once again, I'll add the border bands. And now this time in the front here where we have the starburst bands, we want the bottom 3 to come off. Oops. And now on the back side, just the bottom 1. And now we have 1 more band to add. That's going to be part of the orange starburst. It's going right in the center. And now I want all of these bands that are on the front pin here to come off. So if you want, you can do them in steps since there are pretty many, instead of grabbing them all at once. Just grab a couple of the top ones and now the rest. So now these are just sitting in the middle here. It's hanging loose in the center, and you can see that your bracelet is starting to grow. Now we need to go to the next color, so I have yellow. The band is going to go right in the middle, and then these orange bands need to come off, the front and back. And now we need to start putting the cap band and the rest of the starburst colors on. So I'm going to take this yellow band from the back and move it forward. Now that frees up this pin for me to put on the yellow bands. And now I want just the top band on the front pin here, this yellow one, to move back. And now I want to place a cap band in the middle here. And now I want the other side of this yellow band to move back. And now once again, I need the bottom yellows to come up through. And now I'll place on the border bands. And then remove the bottom layers from the sides. and push this down. And now I want the next set of yellow bands for the Starburst. They're going to be added to the front pins. And now the ones in the back are going to move forward. It's pretty many, so you don't have to do them all at once. You can do them just a couple at a time if you want. And now the bottom ones will come up through. And now I need another set of black bands. The bottom layers will get removed. Don't forget to do it on the opposite side as well. And now I have the yellow band in the middle. This is the last part of the yellow Starburst. And then all of these lower bands need to come off and move to the middle. And that's it for the yellow. So we would start the green next, just by putting that band in the middle and then removing each side of the yellow so they're hooked together. And then I would just continue on in the same pattern for each of the Starbursts. So I know there's a lot of steps, and if you feel like you need help and you want to follow along with the tutorial, I will add the time which you can go back to follow along with these steps again. When you have your bracelet to the length that you'd like it and you're ready to remove it from the loom, you should have one band left on all 6 of the pins. The 2 outside pins should have the border color on, and then in the center here you should have whatever color your last Starburst is. So I'm going to place on one more layer of bands, and they're all going to be this border color, so they're all going to be black. And I'm just going to place them from the front to the back on all 3 of the rows. And now I want the bottom rubber band to come over the top. I'm going to do that for all 6 of the pins. Repeat that on the back here. And now what I'm going to do is start on the bottom left here. I'm going to take off this rubber band and just move it into the center. And then I'll take the one on the right and move that into the center as well. I'm going to go to the back side here, and I'm just going to move these bands into the middle. Move this one over too. And now I want to remove the bottom 2 rubber bands from these center pins. So there's just going to be one single band left. Do that on the front. And so now I'm just going to reach my hook and pick up this one band on the front and then the other one on the back. Now I can pull this off of the loom, and I'm going to take a clip. I have an S-clip here. I'll just hook these 2 bands through, and then I will go to the other side, and I should have a nice circle here. Just going to put my hook through there, and now I can attach these to the other side. And then here is my bracelet. So you can see it has this Starburst pattern, and it looks the same on both sides. And then here is the other one that I had shown you at the beginning. So this one had the white on the outside, and then it had more pastel colors in the middle. So there's a lot of different color choices you can make. You can see that I sort of like it with the rainbow colors. And the nice thing about making it this way with the 6 pins is that you can make it any length that you want, so you can have this design for the entire length of the bracelet. I hope that everyone was able to follow along with the tutorial and that you had a good time making the Starburst bracelet. You can always leave me comments on YouTube and Facebook, post pictures of your creations to my Facebook page, and please feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can stay up to date on my latest tutorials. You can also find me on Pinterest and Instagram, so please feel free to subscribe to those as well. Thanks for watching!